So hey, what's up guys, this is AK, and you are watching my YouTube channel AKM. So guys, welcome back to a brand new tips and tricks video of PUBG Mobile. Spotting enemies faster is one of the most underrated skills in PUBG Mobile, because every fight is decided by who gets information first. Most players spend all their time improving their aim, changing sensitivity, or learning movement, but they completely ignore the habit of actually seeing enemies before the enemy sees them. That is the biggest mistake. They only start looking for opponents after they hear footsteps or after they start getting shot. By then, the enemy already has the advantage, and even perfect aim cannot save you if you react too late. PUBG Mobile rewards players who gather information early, not players who simply shoot well. The good news is that spotting enemies faster is not about having better eyesight. It is about building a few simple habits that make hidden enemies much easier to notice. Once these habits become natural, you will start reacting earlier, taking fewer surprise fights, and winning more gunfights without changing your controls or sensitivity. So let me show you the 3 habits that can completely change the way you read every fight. The first habit is learning where to look, instead of looking everywhere. One of the biggest mistakes players make is constantly moving their camera around without any purpose. They keep scanning every direction randomly, hoping to find an enemy. The problem is that your eyes never stay focused long enough to notice small movements. Most players do this because they think checking every angle quickly means they are being aware. In reality, they are just overwhelming themselves with too much information. Your brain cannot properly process everything when your camera is moving all the time. Instead, start predicting where enemies are most likely to appear. Every area on the map has common positions where players naturally take cover. Focus your attention on those places first. Look at windows before open ground. Check rocks before empty hills. Scan trees near compounds before looking at places where nobody is likely to be. For example, imagine you are rotating into Pochinki from the fields. Instead of spinning your camera across the entire town, first check the rooftops, then the windows facing you, then the walls where someone could peek, and finally the nearby vehicles or fences. You are searching with a purpose instead of searching randomly. This habit makes a huge difference because your eyes stay focused on high-danger areas. You react faster, notice movement earlier, and waste less attention on places where enemies are unlikely to be. Over time, spotting players becomes much easier because you already know where to expect them. Now that you know where to look, let us talk about another mistake that makes enemies almost invisible. The second habit is stopping unnecessary camera movement while scanning. Many players cannot spot enemies because their camera never stays still. They keep dragging the screen every second, even when nothing is happening. Small enemy movements become very difficult to notice because the entire screen is already moving. Players usually do this without even realizing it. They feel like constantly moving the camera makes them look more active. But your eyes detect movement by comparing a moving object against a stable background. If everything is moving together, it becomes much harder to notice an enemy crossing the screen. The better habit is to scan one area, pause for a moment, then move to the next area. Those short pauses give your eyes enough time to catch movement that you would normally miss. Think about a situation where you are holding a ridge and watching another hill. If you keep swinging your camera left and right, an enemy slowly peeking behind a tree can easily blend into the movement. But if you stop for just a second while looking at that tree, even the smallest shoulder peak becomes much easier to notice. This simple habit gives you earlier information, which means you can prepare before the fight even starts. Instead of reacting after taking damage, you are already aiming at the right position before the enemy fully exposes themselves. The third habit is learning to notice movement, instead of searching for full player models. One of the biggest mistakes players make is expecting to clearly see an entire enemy before they react. They keep looking for a complete character standing in the open. The reality is that experienced players almost never expose their full body. Most of the time, you will only see a small shoulder, a helmet, a backpack, or a tiny movement behind cover. Players make this mistake because they naturally focus on shapes instead of motion. When everything on the map looks similar, a stationary enemy can blend into the environment very easily. But even the smallest movement immediately stands out if you are paying attention to it. Instead of trying to identify a complete player, train yourself to watch for anything that changes. A slight movement near a window. A helmet appearing behind a rock. A player shifting between two trees. Even a small shadow moving across a rooftop can reveal someone's position before they are fully visible. For example, imagine you are rotating through Erangel and there is a compound ahead. You do not immediately see anyone. Most players assume the area is clear and continue running. But if you carefully watch the windows and rooftops for a couple of seconds, you might notice a tiny shoulder moving behind a window. That single movement tells you the compound is occupied. Now you can change your route, prepare for the fight, or take a better position before the enemy even realizes you have spotted them. This habit immediately improves your consistency because you stop relying on luck. You begin collecting information earlier, making smarter decisions, and entering fights with an advantage instead of getting caught by surprise. So, let us quickly go over the 3 biggest takeaways from this video. First, stop looking everywhere. Focus on the positions where enemies are most likely to be. Second, avoid unnecessary camera movement while scanning. Give your eyes enough time to recognize small details instead of constantly moving the screen. Third, look for movement, not full player models. Tiny movements reveal enemy positions much earlier than most players realize. Once these 3 habits become natural, you will start spotting enemies much faster in every match. You will take fewer surprise fights, make better decisions before shooting, and give yourself more time to react. And when you consistently see the enemy first, your aim, movement, and game sense become much more effective because you are fighting on your own terms instead of reacting under pressure. So guys, that was all for today's video. If you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more PUBG Mobile tips, aiming guides, movement tutorials, and practical gameplay advice that will help you improve faster. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.